Right then, just a really quick video on why I don't recommend running an 1132 11-speed cassette with a short cage 11-speed derailleur, in this case Ultegra. Now, there are many videos out there by people who don't eat meat and other people saying that this combination will work fine and you do not need the long cage, or you do not need the road link, the hanger extender. And it's correct, you don't, and it worked for me fine for a bit, but in certain conditions, in certain situations, you can end up with a nice ductile fracture, snapping your mech hanger off from the bike. And in my situation, it went into the wheel, the rear wheel locked up, and I skidded down a hill. And it was a long walk home at 5 AM in the rain. Now, why did that happen? Well, it's all to do with chain length, basically. And this is why I would recommend getting the long cage. If you do not size the chain perfectly, you risk this occurrence. Now, what happened to me? I have a slightly strange combination. I run a 52-34. So the normal combination would be a 52-36 or a 50-34. I run a 52-34. Why is that? I'm quite heavy. I like to, cane it along on the flats, so I don't want the 50, but I like to be able to spin really nicely when I'm climbing, so I run the 34. So this makes setting the chain length a bit more critical than it would normally do for a short cage derailleur, because you've got a bit more slack you need to take up when you go from one to the other. Now, what repercussions does this have when you're trying to fit this combination together with the 1132? Well, it works fine in the small ring, absolutely fine. And actually, I've taken the B screw out because I pillaged this for spares, but I didn't really have to wind the B screw in at all to stop the top jockey wheel hitting the 32. It worked really, really well with the chain length I had. Now, in the 52-28, it would work fine because that was the same as the old combination I had, and I would never ride the 52-28 because that's cross chaining and it's not efficient and it wears the chain and the cassette. But it was not happy in the 52-32. It was borderline way too tight, and it would run, but I said to myself, well, I'm going to try it, but I'm not going to put it in the 52-32. Avoid the 52-32 because I didn't want to damage anything. Now, why was the chain too tight for that combination? And it was because of the combination I've got at the front. I have to size the chain for the little chainring as well. So if I'm in little and somewhere like the smaller cogs here, I don't want the derailleur in that fashion where it's not applying any tension and the jockey wheels are together. So yeah, it does work fine, but if you forget to not go into the big ring whilst you're in the 32 like I did, I was at the top of a climb and I stuck it in the big ring like you do at the top of a climb ready for the descent, and I just forgot. And what happened was, it sometimes happens when you shift from the small chainring to the big chainring, is that the chain just kind of sits up a little bit on the teeth before you make a revolution, and then it goes and it drops down. And that just little bit of sitting up on that extra diameter was just too much tension for the chain. The chain crushed. Let's try and get this to focus. Come on. Yeah, there we go. The chain crushed the lower jockey wheel, such was the tension in the chain. It jammed that, and the tension in the chain was enough to shear the mech hanger. Luckily the frame's alright, but the mech went into the rear wheel, it's buggered one of the spokes, and the rear wheel locked up. So, you can get an Ultegra mech for about 40 quid, a long cage. So yeah, I'm guilty of trying it and I shouldn't have done. Why do people try this? I don't know, because you can end up with this situation. Just buy the right thing. Either get the road link, or if you've got a funny combination like I have at the front where you need that extra cage to take up the bit of slop, then buy the long cage. Otherwise, this could have been really nasty. This could have whipped round and gone through the seat stay. So yeah, don't listen to them. Just buy the right piece. Otherwise, you'd be walking down a mountain trying to find a taxi at 5 AM. and that was pretty shit. Peace.